I want to talk to a specific person today. You know who you are. You're working somewhere, corporate agency, family business, whatever. And something inside you said, this is not it. This cannot be my whole life. There has to be more to it. So you left, maybe you planned it, maybe you jumped. Either way, you started something of your own. And for the first few weeks, maybe months, it felt like breathing for the first time. Then something strange happened. The same feelings came back. Not the job, the feelings. The anxiety before decisions, the overthinking at night, the reactive patterns in relationships, the sense that something is off even though you're finally doing what you wanted. If this is you, stay with me because what I am about to tell you is the thing I wish someone had told me 3 years ago. Now, why the patterns follows you even though you have shifted from where you were? That is because most people have an assumption that my environment is the problem. If I'll change the environment, the feeling will change. Which is true till an extent. Environment does stop you from growing. People around you do limit at times your growth. That is why it is said to change your circle, to raise your standards, to raise your thinking ability. But purely thinking from a perspective that environment is causing the downfall or limiting the growth is not true. Many times people who point on the external factor a lot have lot of internal issues going on, and by internal issues it is mostly in conjunction to the emotions, the reactions they have in different scenarios, and a few unresolved problems. The why this assumption is wrong is because the loop in the job scenario, let's say, was not caused by the job. Rather, the loop was formed years before the job itself. The job was just the stage where the loop performed. Because every loop, every pattern is going to teach you something. It's meant to teach you something. It's like an eye opener scenario where it's telling you, hey, listen, this is it. What will you do about it? This is how it exactly goes. Now it goes on to you whether you go in the reaction spiral or whether you decide to learn something and implement something to get you out of that pattern. Because pattern holds, if not done anything to it, they hold quite a lot of weightage in your life, and you stop living, you just start drifting through life rather. And that is why many people get disconnected to their purpose, to themselves, and vice versa. All that things happen. But when you leave the job, let's say, you remove that stage, but you do not remove the performer. The loop just finds a new stage, which happens to be a business. So if there is a deep pattern which is keeping on repeating, which is causing an internal issue, emotional dra- draining, and multiple scenarios is reflected, leaving the job won't just cure it. Yes, if literally the job is the criteria that is limiting your growth, you will know that. But if it's something internal, something is bothering you emotionally, something is troubling you in terms of limitation of your own subconscious mind, you will know it deeply. So the answer to leaving the job and starting a business is also in your head itself. But don't get it mixed with self doubt or not thinking out of the box or on those lines. Specific example I can give you is the person who was a people pleaser at work becomes a people pleaser with the client. The person who avoided confrontation with their boss now avoids confrontation with business partners. The person who overworked to prove themselves to management now overworks to prove themselves to the market. Now you will say few things are good element in this, few are bad. See, that is where you draw a line between tactics of implementation, where genuineness comes into picture, and there are these other things which is emotionally driven, that is guiding your whole life. That is where these patterns and these examples go in more depth and with full understanding. So, if let's say an example of the people pleaser and that same pattern repeats here, what emotional freedom have you gotten, whether it was a job or a business? You will still feel drained, you will still hide your true identity behind a mask, where the genuineness factor is still the one missing out of the picture. I'll tell you my own story, how pattern from my earlier life showed up across my many of my businesses, real estate, hospitality, even research entropy itself on the initial month. There was a very specific pattern which was very kind of an hidden underneath factor. You can say I was someone of a low confident person, very low confident person. You can say introvert plus few things, which caused a problem of big time confidence to be out there. On top of that, that was a frustration inside me without an acknowledgement. It was staying inside me rent free. So, to hide that insecurity, it put a mask of an angry person who would get burst out. So, to hide the low confidence, an angry man was kept on the front. Now, this angry person would make sure that I place myself in a scenario where no one can challenge me. So then what happens is I can calm myself down, I can learn meditation, I can learn breathing. Oh, this is happening, yeah, I'll calm myself. But calming myself in this scenario was not the key. The key scenario was the one which is not comfortable to be out there at all, the one which is scared to be out there, the one which doesn't have confidence, the one who doesn't have an ability to express himself. And that slowly was eating me up inside. And for the first two business it was still okay, but for the last business, uh, which I mentioned, which is research entropy itself, it pushed every comfort zone of mine out of the picture. Not because I have to do and all that. I actually wanted to do. When I found the true self and I found the true identity, I wanted to go out there and get this knowledge out. And I knew that there is no easy way for this. I can just do AI videos and get the knowledge out like that, but that won't have any impact is what I feel. The human connection is why this is there, this exists, and the same human connection is one of the reason why reset entropy is what it is. Understanding, helping, guiding, these are all human elements. These AI videos don't do justice to this, is what I believe. For which I had to come out of the comfort zone. I had to make sure that many of the patterns are dissolved. If not, then start dissolving them even further. And that is how coming out of the loop, coming out of the patterns was necessary. But before that, it was showing up. And you won't believe the patterns and the loops are so deep. There's many times a hidden one behind the front one. In my case, that was a scenario, and because of that only I have created the entropy code. The entropy code gives me an insight for anyone. When they select just the two options, I get to know what is the one ahead and what is the one hiding beneath. But it goes much more deeper than that. Let's say a corporate escape example I can give you. A guy I spoke with last month, 31 years old he was. He was in fintech for 6 years. He left to start a D2C brand. Within 4 months, same patterns. Saying yes to every partnership because his system needed external validation that the business was real. Same approval loop he ran with his manager, now running with every potential collaborator. He was not building a business, he was collecting proof that he made the right decisions. And because of this, I talked about very recently that was shift number 4. You When you stop operating from pattern loops, you stop taking decisions in terms of businesses that is coming from some kind of emotional pattern or some kind of insecurity reasons. There are various reasons to it, but underneath the main highlight point is still decisions are taken from loop, and this one especially not able to say no, saying yes to everything is one of the worst one possible. I have seen people into the business line for the last minimum 30-40 years, stepping into every boat possible at once and leading nowhere. The wealth that they had is so spread apart in all direction that in the end, after of all, if one clicks, the person is back to where they were at the start at the 5 years ago, not into taking into account the inflammation factor and the taxation and everything and the expenses. And the worst part is time spent on all this and not and being where you were. So it's very important, especially in the business scenarios, that you come out of the loop and take decisions, or else there are multiple patterns which will keep repeating and you will be following in that zone. And once you enter the business line, let's say from job or for a small business owner, it's good to have some form of learning, yes, but it it drains you, it kills you inside when something fails. It takes time for you to recover. Not everyone can just recover very easily and have a very open mindset towards thing in terms of learning. People take time to learn just the idea that it's a learning phase. Many people go in negative emotional spiral because of that. I'll give you example number two that happened. This family business tension was there. Okay, a young woman who came back from studying abroad. Her family runs a manufacturing unit. Father has been running it for like 25 years, and she has ideas, digital presence, new product lines, modern systems, and there is always, this is where the gap always comes in, especially in the business line of work, family business line of work. The father has the experience and yes or no saying criteria, and the kid who thinks always that I know more, I know the latest things, I know everything, I have all the knowledge, and is neglected. Same happened in this one. His father would listen politely and does nothing. Kid starts feeling invisible. The same feeling she had growing up, that her voice did not matter unless it agreed with what was already decided. So, if only she'll say yes to what father already has selected, she won't be heard. The business is just childhood replaying in a boardroom. What happens in this scenario? Many times staff notices all this also. Many times team people, partners, everyone notices this also. And the kid would feel even more in pressure, which in case they was the client for me. They go in another negative emotional spiral and it goes on and on. Scenario number 3 that happened was a guy was 27 years around age and he had started 4 different things in 3 years: clothing, content agency, consulting, now exploring e-commerce. Each one lasted 3 to 6 months. Each time he says this was not the right fit. But if I ask him what his entropy code is, he is saying C3 from the list. And that is a what if spiral. What if spiral basically means he's not looking for the right business, he's just avoiding committing to anything. Before commitment means closing doors. And his system learned early that closed doors are dangerous. They, in this case, generally the people feel trapped in a scene, any of the scenario. They also have this reflecting in their relationship where commitment becomes very difficult for them, especially long term commitment. They generally come out of a relationship as soon as it starts to get serious. And the hidden meaning is very, very, very underlining. It goes right back to their childhood of how they were treated, what kind of love did they get from the parents. It all boils down to small, 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 small matters. So that is why everyone have the pattern and loop. Origin might be different, codes are similar. When the codes are similar, you can break them, and they are necessary to be broken, or else you'll be stuck in the entropy loop cycle. Now, here's what shift when these people actually see the pattern. The corporate escapee stopped chasing validation partnership. He made his first solo product decision. No external approval needed, and it was the clearest business move he had made in months. The family business's daughter stopped trying to convince her father and started building a small pilot project on the side within the same business quietly, without permission, not as a rebellion, as alignment. She stopped fighting the system and started working around it. The serial started committing to that one thing for 90 days at least. Not forever, just 90 days. Because once he saw that his pivoting was a pattern and not a strategy, the urgency to switch disappeared. None of them changed their circumstances, they changed the loop running underneath their circumstances. And the circumstances started responding differently at this point. This is what I do in my clarity call. 30 minutes, you bring one situation, the business decisions you are stuck on, the family dynamic that is eating you, the pattern you keep repeating. I show you the loop running underneath it. Not theory, your specific loop, your specific triggers, your specific pattern. Most people walk out of the call saying two things. How did you see that so fast? Or why did nobody ever explain this to me before? Because nobody's looking at this layer at all. Everyone is giving you strategy. Nobody is looking at what underneath is going on. So, DM me or call me on Instagram. I will send you time slots, not pitch, just clarity. Thursday series episode was Shift 3, how alignment changes your team. Friday was the Shift 4, that is how it reflects in the number. You can see the full series on Instagram. How your revenue, your conversation, your business conversion, your metrics, your physical change, everything has a loop running behind it, and your decisions. That one is the payoff. Make sure you're subscribed. I'll see you on Friday.